Welcome back. Welcome to the reading of the Four Foundations of Mindfulness. Chapter 12, Factors of Enlightenment. The factors of enlightenment once when the Buddha was living at Rajagaha, the Venerable Maha Kassapa was living in Bifali cave, became very ill. In the evening, the Buddha let his solitude to pay. So he left his solitude to pay a visit to the Venerable Maha Kassapa. After taking his seat, the Buddha said, "How is it with you, Kassapa? How are you bearing your illness? Are your pains decreasing?" Maha Kassapa replied, "Lord, I am not bearing my illness well. My pain is very great, and it shows no sign of decreasing." Then the Buddha said, "Kassapa, I have taught 7 factors of enlightenment. When these factors are cultivated and carefully developed, they lead to realization and perfect wisdom, in other words, to Nibbana." "What 7?" the Buddha continued. What 7 factors are we talking about? And so the Buddha continued, mindfulness investigation into phenomena, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration and equanimity. Hearing these words, Kassapa rejoiced. "O Blessed One," he said, "these 7 are indeed factors of enlightenment. I welcome the utterance of the Worthy One." Then and there Maha Kassapa rose from his sickness, and his ailment vanished. This is a chapter on the 7 factors of enlightenment, which are the qualities we need to achieve, the goal of our practice. As our meditation deepens and the fetters subside, these 7 positive qualities arise in us. When mindfulness is their crown jewel, the 7 factors help us defeat the forces of delusion that disturb our concentration and delay our progress on the path to liberation. The suttas tell us a number of stories, like that of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. The sutta tells us a number of stories like that of Maha Kassapa and the meeting between the Buddha and Maha Kassapa, in which even hearing someone speak the names of the factors provides relief from pain, disease, and adversity. Once the Buddha himself was ill, the Venerable Maha Kunda recited the names of the 7 factors, and the Buddha's grievous sickness disappeared. It is easy to memorize the list of the factors of enlightenment. It's very easy. Try memorizing the list of the factors of enlightenment. Repeat them Every day repeat them, because they are the main chief factors of enlightenment. And some people do, many people do, recite those factors. It is not enough just to know what the factors are. We must understand the meaning of each factor and use our mindfulness to see when it is present, how it arises, and how to develop and maintain it. In Pali, the 7 factors are known as Bojjhangas. Bojjhangas. The word comes from Bodhi, which means enlightenment, and Anga, which means limb in Pali. The 7 factors we discuss in this chapter are the limbs, the arms and legs of enlightenment. Without them, we cannot walk the path to freedom from suffering. We need them. These are the foundations of the path to freedom from suffering. They arise in the same order for everyone. In fact, each marks a stage in our progress along the path. We cannot skip any stage, because each develops naturally out of the one before. They're in stages, but they're all relevant and they're all linked. All these different stages. The path to enlightenment. Let's look at it more closely. Let's look at each factor more closely. Let's talk about mindfulness. So everything we have been discussing so far pertains to mindfulness. All progress on the path starts with this quality. As the Buddha said, mindfulness is the chief of all the dharmas. So Buddha said that. He said that quite a few times in a lot of his suttas. But in order for our mindfulness to become a factor leading to enlightenment, it has to be strong, focused. It has to be very strongly focused. Mindfulness needs to be very strongly focused and specific, clearly directed. Here is how the Buddha describes this special kind of mindfulness. This is how the Buddha describes it. Bhikkhus, on whatever occasion a bhikkhu abides, contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world on that occasion, unremitting mindfulness is established in him. This is what the Buddha said. His comment on mindfulness. On whatever occasion remitting mindfulness is established, on whatever. Lest in a bhikkhu on that occasion the mindfulness, enlightenment fact is aroused in him, and he develops it on the advice of the Buddha, and by development it comes to fulfillment in him. What can we learn from these words? The words that have just been spoken by the Buddha. First, to become a factor of enlightenment, our mindfulness must have a clear focus, such as the body, as a body, such as a body as a body. We can also focus on feelings. We can focus on thoughts or on phenomena. These four, of course, are the four foundations of mindfulness we have been considering. Throughout the reading of the four foundations of mindfulness. Next, we must be ardent and alert. We must be ardent and alert. That means that we meditate with effort and enthusiasm. Third, we must put aside covetousness and grief with reference to the world. Just put all that aside. Covetousness and grief with reference to the world. In other words, we do not allow feelings and thoughts about ordinary day. And day-to-day concerns to disturb our concentration. You need to put all that aside as well. All those day-to-day concerns that we have. Everybody has. Actually, we should put aside greed and distress about the world all the time. Something we can't control. Not only when we are sitting on the cushion. Finally, our mindfulness must be remitting. In other words, we must practice mindfulness all the time. We must be mindful of what we're doing. Our working, our family, our interaction with society and so on. Not just while we are meditating. We should be mindful all the time. In fact, we should practice mindfulness during all activities. Whatever we're doing, whoever we're speaking to, whatever we're involved in. Whether we are talking, eating, drinking, or waiting for the bus. Because of mindfulness, even ordinary activities are wholesome and beneficial. This is applicable to everybody. This advice from the Buddha. Doesn't matter what religion. If we remember our mindfulness only occasionally, or practice it only during meditation sessions, it will take a very long time to develop the level necessary to liberate us from the fetters. The fetters have very deep roots in the mind. And it's a real challenge. It's a war, trying to get rid of those fetters. Mindfulness becomes a factor of enlightenment only when we are fully engaged in being mindful. Every waking moment. As we have been discussing, mindfulness requires a specific kind of awareness, a very special kind of awareness. In each instant of mindfulness, we are conscious of the changing nature of everything that happens to us. Everything. Whatever change is taking place in the body, we need to be mindful of all that. Our interaction with the people around us, we need to be mindful about that, with that. We recognize that none of it can make us permanently happy. Most important, we understand that there is no permanent self or soul who is experiencing any of this. No self, no soul. Whilst we are being mindful of the body, whilst we are being mindful of all our interactions at work, with family, with society, with the world news and the bad news, and all the killings in the Middle East, when mindfulness is established as our constant attitude, we discover that we have been practicing the 7 factors of enlightenment all along. When we meditate on mindfulness of the body, as a body, we naturally use the factors of investigation, of effort, of joy, of tranquility, concentration and equanimity. The same is true when we meditate on the mindfulness of feelings. The same is when we meditate on the mindfulness of feelings, of thoughts and phenomena. Our task now is to make our mindfulness even more steady and strong, so that mindfulness itself becomes the focus of our meditation. As we continue to meditate in this way, mindfulness becomes a factor of enlightenment and speeds our progress on the path toward enlightenment, toward liberation. This is a focus. We need to have this extremely deep focus of enlightenment. And this deep focus speeds our progress on the path towards liberation. And so let's talk about investigation. Let's investigate this. While people are inquisitive using our deeply cultivated mindfulness, we investigate the dharmas, or phenomena in our own mind and body. This is what we investigate. Turning inward in this way happens naturally when the mindfulness factor is strong and clear, clearly focused. The focus of our investigation is the 5 aggregates. This is the focus of our investigation. And we're going to investigate the 5 aggregates. Our mindfulness inquires everywhere into our form, feelings, perceptions, thoughts and consciousness. We see the arising of the breath, postures, clear comprehension, parts of the body, and the 4 elements. This is our meditation. This is the process. This is our focus. We notice the 108 types of feelings, the 5 hindrances, the 6 senses, and 10 fetters that arise deepening on the senses and their objects. We see their disappearing nature. We investigate all of them with powerful mindfulness. How do we investigate? A good question. How do we investigate? What method do we implement? The process is the same as it was in the Buddha's time. We listen to the Dharma, remember what we have heard, and then examine the meaning of the Dharma we have learned. If anything is unclear or we in doubt of anything, or doubt arises, we ask questions, we think, we discuss, we even speak to monks. Monks are very good people to speak to about the Dharma. They study the Dharma every day. They will enlighten you at any point within the Dharma. We focus our mindfulness on every aspect of our life and activities, on and off the cushion, wherever we are. For instance, when a thought arises, we investigate to see whether it is spiritually beneficial. We investigate whether it is spiritually beneficial. We ask the question, does this thought reduce my greed and hatred or increase them? A good question to ask. This thought that's emerging, asking a question about it. Does it minimize my confusion and add to it? Does it make me and others peaceful? There are a few questions. If we discover that the thought increases greed and hatred and delusion and destroys peace and happiness, we ask. These are all questions we're asking. This is the investigation we're going through. What can I do to eliminate it? This is another question. If we discover that the thought is wholesome, we ask the question, what can I do to maintain it? Because it's a wholesome thought. You want to hold on to it. So you ask the question, what can I do to maintain it? If my mindfulness, is my mindfulness sufficient? If not, how can I improve it? Another question, how can I improve this mindfulness? We use the same method to investigate the other aggregates. The same method and the same questions. For instance, we inquire into our feelings by asking, am I attached to pleasant feelings? Am I attached? Is there some degree of attachment there? Do I reject unpleasant feelings? How many times have I been distracted from my mindfulness by desire for pleasant objects or hatred for unpleasant ones? We also investigate how we understand essential Dharma concepts such as impermanence. You ask this question. How do we investigate? We will understand essential Dharma concepts such as impermanence. We ask, does it occur to me that the body is mine? Question, what makes me think that it is mine? Another question, what makes me think that it is mine? Do I see that the body's parts and elements are always changing? Another question. Do I see this? The body parts are always changing? Perhaps we discover that our understanding of impermanence is not very clear. We suspect that this confusion may be why the thought that the body is mine. This thought emerges. The body is mine. Keeps coming back. As a result, we resolve. And this is what we resolve. I will spend more time meditating on the body's impermanence. We also examine our daily actions. Whatever actions we've been through during the day. Whatever actions they are. And my attitude towards those actions, towards whatever's happened during the day. We ask, how many times have I gotten angry when somebody pointed out my faults? Another question. Did I get angry? Somebody pointed out my faults. How many times have I enjoyed, criticizing others? Have I enjoyed any of that? How many times have I taken pleasure in gossiping or quarreling? Have I taken pleasure in any of that? And we find that our actions and attitudes are healthy. We investigate how to maintain and strengthen them. Empower them. Because they're healthy. They're wholesome. If we find that they need to be, improved, we figure out what to do to change them. As we can see from these examples, it is our job, or it's our task. It's a task to make sure we understand the 4 foundations of mindfulness. That we have a good understanding of these foundations of mindfulness that the Buddhas handed down to us some 2,500 years ago. What a gift, what a great gift to us, to humanity. And apply this understanding to our meditation and our life. As we live, apply these. No one can do this hard work for us. You have to do it all yourself. You have to make the effort. We have to manage our own body. We have to also manage our mind and the actions. Every moment of our waking life, we have to manage. We have to be totally mindful. No one can walk the path on our behalf. No one. You have to walk the path on your own. We use mindfulness and intelligent investigation to check whether, this is what we do. We use mindfulness and intelligent investigation to check whether the thoughts between our feelings and, well, we should all welcome, and those must avoid. So we should discriminate. When harmful impulses arise, we close the doors of our senses to subjugate them. Then we use effort to replace them with beneficial impulses, such as generosity, loving friendliness, and wisdom. Because our energy is aroused, we are not lenient. Energy is aroused, we are not lenient. We do not let down our guard, or for even an instant. As the sutta tells us this, realizing that this body is as fragile as a clay pot, and fortifying this mind like a well-defended city. Drive out delusion with the sword of wisdom. Drive out delusion with the sword of wisdom that the Buddha has given us through the Dharma that is handed down to us. Until the final battle is won, we use energetic effort to safeguard, secure, and maintain what we have gained. But our energy is calm and focused rather than hypertense, if you want to call it, or overtensed. Skillful mindfulness, skillful investigation, and skillful effort work together like a well-trained team to purify the mind. We recognize that life is as brief as a flash of lightning. Life's very short. It's like a flash of lightning. We have this realization. But there is still a chance to liberate ourselves from the cycle of suffering. There's still a chance because you're still living. And you're watching this delivery that I'm delivering to you. So you still have a chance. As the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be exclaimed with profound determination, "Let my blood dry up, my flesh wither away, my body be reduced to a skeleton. I will not give up what humanly can be attained." Wow, what a statement by the Bodhisattva. So, let's speak about joy. When the energy factor of enlightenment is strong, joy arises as a factor of deep concentration meditation. The stages of deep concentration meditation, called the jhanas, take us beyond the ordinary mindfulness that we have been talking about into a series of deeply tranquil, harmonious, and powerful states. As mentioned earlier and described, the jhana states in detail. The jhana states in detail have previously been described in this reading. Beyond mindfulness, the four factors of mindfulness. So as we progress through the successive stages of jhana, the 5 hindrances are put to sleep and the 10 fetters are neutralized, making our concentration even stronger. When the hindrances of ill will is overcome, our meditation becomes joyful. This is what we experience. When the hindrances of ill will is overcome, and our meditation becomes joyful at that point. This emotion relaxes the body and mind of joy, this emotion of joy, generating a feeling of serenity and peace. We are meditating, we are experiencing the emergence of peace, and we're starting to feel that as our concentration deepens further, we experience 5 increasingly intense feeling of joy, a really intense. Minor joy, momentary joy, showering joy, uplifting joy, and all-pervading joy. Minor joy makes our body hair stand on end. Momentarily, joy is like lightning flashing moment after moment. Showering joy descends on the body and then disappears, like waves breaking on the seashore. Uplifting joy is able to lift the physical body actually, to move it. Uplifting joy is able to lift the physical body actually, to move it. Believe it. A sutta tells the story of a young girl who aroused uplifting joy while contemplating the thought of a shrine, carried by uplifting joy. The girl traveled to the shrine through the air. This is what happened. Sutta gives. It gives all this, relates all the happening to that girl, to a little girl, and what happened. Arriving before her parents, who went there on foot, all-pervading joy suffuses every part of the body. It's important to keep in mind that the joy we experience in the initial stages of jhana is not the same as the pleasurable feelings of everyday life. They're quite different, too. Different levels of joy, all the experience of joy. And even within the jhana states, the joy that is one of the 7 factors of enlightenment arises only as a result of the development of 3 previous factors. The 3 previous factors. The enlightenment arises only as a result of the development, full development of 3 previous factors. And the first one being mindfulness, then investigation, and then energy. Mindfulness, investigation, and energy. These are the factors. Mindfulness combined with investigation shines light into dark areas of the mind. Energy drives our tireless effort to see reality as it is, moving additional obstacles to the attainment of enlightenment. As obstacles subside, the special kind of joy that is a factor of enlightenment arises in the mind. This joy is more durable than the joy that we experience in the initial stages of jhana, because it comes from understanding. Because it comes from understanding. Enlightenment joy never becomes weak or fades. It's a different level of joy. Far beyond the ordinary. Far beyond the ordinary joy. And not many people will experience it unless you follow these steps given to us by the Buddha. When we reach this state, we remain joyful all the time. And so let's talk about tranquility. And what's tranquility? And this is what we experience. When enlightenment joy is developed and perfected, the factor of tranquility arises. Tranquility is a mental state in which the mind and body are calm, relaxed, and peaceful. There is no part of us that is not steady, still and tranquil. Desire, grief and delusion have disappeared. Desire, grief and delusion have disappeared. We feel satisfied. We feel safe. We feel secure. We do not feel like moving the body. We're in total focus, in total mindfulness of our stage or state. Nor do we feel thirsty, nor hungry. We don't feel tired. We're not bored or lazy. Everything is serene and perfect. Although we have not yet achieved the final goal of our practice, for the moment, at that point, we have not received the final goal of our practice. We enjoy profound peace and happiness. This is our experience. And perfect. Although we have not yet achieved the final goal of our practice, for the moment, we enjoy profound peace and happiness. The ordinary people wouldn't experience that. You need to just follow these steps to experience it. And so let's talk about concentration. That's a very important aspect, a very important factor. In this state of joy and tranquility, concentration becomes, we notice. This is what we notice when we're concentrating. It becomes stronger and more focused. In earlier stages of mindfulness meditation, our concentration is unsteady, that we come and go. Moments of clear focus alternate. Visits moments in which we are aware of our internal dialogue, whatever's happening internally, and of sounds, of smells, and other sense impressions that we are experiencing. Increasing these distractive occurrences, they fade to the background, and we are able to concentrate exclusively on the breath or other object for longer and longer periods. This is our experience during this intense meditation, concentration. This improbability to focus is called excess concentration. It marks the boundary between ordinary meditation and the jhana states of deep concentration. As we progress through the stages of jhana concentration, concentration becomes a factor of enlightenment. A very, very important factor of enlightenment. Using concentration as a powerful tool, focus the mind like a laser beam on the 5 aggregates. Our concentration penetrates to the 3 universal characteristics of all conditioned things. The reality of constant change. This is our focus. The unsatisfactoriness of everything that exists, and the complete absence of a permanent self or soul. These characteristics are no longer a theory. We recognize them as essential truths. In jhana, mindfulness and concentration, together with all this experience that we're having, this experience is dissolving all barriers to achieving realization. So any barrier that's stopping us from a deep sense of realization of everything that our soul, these characteristics are no longer a theory. We recognize them. complete absence of a permanent self as essential truths. There's complete realization that there's no permanent self. In jhana, mindfulness and concentration work together to dissolve all barriers to achieving realization. This is your experience, a very deep and profound experience. So what's equanimity? Equanimity is like the center point on an old-fashioned balance scale. On one side of the scale, we place a heap of rice. On the other side, we place a metal weight. We adjust the quantity of rice until the pointer on the scale is exactly perpendicular or is at 0 point. This is a process of calibration. Calibrating a scale. Then we know that we have the correct measurement. This balancing point is equanimity, right in the center. Spot on in the center. The balancing point is equanimity. In the states of jhana, we use equanimity like a balance scale to fine-tune our cultivation of other enlightenment factors. If we find that the mind is sluggish at this point, we intensify our mindfulness and investigation in order to arouse our energy and restore balance, because we're becoming sluggish now, we are becoming somewhat tired. Well, we need to be mindful and investigate in order to arise our energy and restore the balance that we're seeking. If the mind is overexcited, we focus on increasing our joy, tranquility and concentration so that we become more calm. Now, this is our aim and object. We're trying to achieve the maximum level of equanimity. The equanimity that we experience in the jhana states, it differs from the type we use in mindfulness meditation to balance harmful and beneficial feelings. This is what we do. This is what we're trying to achieve. Equanimity based on sensual objects, on sensual forms, on sounds, on smells, on tastes and touches is called equanimity based on diversity. That's what it's called. In the jhana states, the equanimity that arises as a factor of enlightenment is called equanimity based on unity. That's what it's called. Equanimity based on unity, because it focuses on a single internal object. At this stage of the path, all of the components of the body and mind, the 5 aggregates, in the past, in the present and future, are exactly the same. There is no such thing as good. There's no such thing as bad. Or there's no such thing as indifferent. It is all simply reality. It is all simply impermanent. It is all simply unsatisfactory and selfless. In this state of perfect balance, we're talking of equanimity now. In this state of perfect balance, remember the balance we had to calibrate? The sutta tells us, clinging to the material things of the world ceases utterly without remainder. This is what happens. So, now these are the key points for developing concentration. Let's talk about the key points. Very worthwhile. The concentration that arises in the jhana states as a fact of enlightenment develops out of the concentration you begin to cultivate the very first time you sit down to meditate. Concentration is like a muscle that strengthens. It strengthens as you exercise it. Becomes stronger. That concentration. Yeah. Here are some ways to build concentration to support every step in your practice of mindfulness. These are the steps. These are the recommendations by the Buddha. First, make sure that your concentration is wholesome and free of hindrances, such as greed, hatred, and delusion. For instance, concentration motivated by greed or advanced states so that you can travel through the air is not wholesome. That's not wholesome. No. Advanced states so that you can travel through the air is not wholesome. Not wholesome at all. Use skillful effort to put past feelings and experiences and thoughts about ordinary day-to-day concerns. Put them all aside. Remind yourself that you are concentrating and everything is coming in as a flash of lightning. The thoughts are... So resolve to see this session of meditation to liberate yourself from the cycle of suffering. Focus your mind on your chosen object of meditation. You've chosen an object and you are now meditating. So focus your mind totally on the object of meditation, this object that you've chosen, such as the breath. You may, or postures, or parts of the body, 4 elements, 3 types of feelings, 5 hindrances, or the 10 fetters. Keep your mind in the present moment. Don't allow it to drift into the future or in the past. By remitting effort to maintain focus on your chosen object. If you find that your mind has wandered from your object, gently but firmly bring it back. It tends to become scattered, but you need to bring it all back. Be ardent and alert. If you find that your mind is sluggish or sleepy, and you start to fall asleep during this meditation session, use effort to arouse enthusiasm. If you find that your mind is overexcited or jumpy, focus on your breathing until it calms down. The breathing comes back. Never forget about your breathing. Always continue your breathing exercise while you are meditating, because it calms you. It calms you down. Be especially alert of any of the 5 hindrances, like desire, like hatred, like worry, like laziness and doubt. If any hindrance is present, cultivate the opposite. That's the method the Buddha has recommended. For instance, overcome greed with thoughts of generosity and hatred, with thoughts of loving friendliness. Just do the opposite. Think of the opposite. Once the hindrance is gone, refocus the mind on your chosen object. Your goal is to use concentration as a powerful tool to penetrate the 3 universal characteristics of everyday experience, or your experience, whatever you're experiencing. You need to penetrate the 3 universal characteristics of every experience, whatever you're experiencing. Constant change, the unsatisfactory nature of all conditioned things, and the absence of a permanent self or soul that is aware of any of this. As your concentration deepens, the mind gradually loses interest in other things and is able to focus on the object of meditation for longer and longer periods. At this point, you should not investigate the details of your experience. Don't go down that path. Don't go into a detailed investigation. Simply focus mindfully on your chosen object, whatever that object is. Each time you practice wholesome concentration, it is easier to maintain your focus. Each time you practice wholesome concentration, it is easier to maintain your focus, no matter how briefly you were able to concentrate. It's a good point to follow. So, and you should feel happy about what you have accomplished. Following all these steps, working together as a team. Concentration and mindfulness purify the mind and help keep the hindrances suppressed. This is it. Concentration is the way to go. Concentration helps you to gain a first-hand experience of the truth of the Buddha's message. This motivates you to develop more profound states of concentration so that you can attain deeper insights. So there we go. So much has been delivered to you. Chapter 12, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the factors of enlightenment. These are all the factors of enlightenment that you've just been given. These are going to help you towards achieving a successful jhana meditation. So there you go. And you've enjoyed all this. And if you've taken something from it, which I'm sure you have, please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, have a great day and stay safe.